Welcome to the Pet Loss Companion. I'm Ken Dolan-Del Vecchio. I'm here with my friend and co-author Nancy Saxton-Lopez. This is a program that we do live on Facebook and YouTube every Thursday from 6 o'clock to about 6:30, give or take. And it is an opportunity to take the information that we originally compiled into our book, The Pet Loss Companion, Healing Advice from Family Therapists Who Lead Pet Loss Groups, and expand it and share it with a broader audience. And it is an opportunity for us also to dialogue with you. And a lot of what we do on this program is we read stories that audience members have sent us, and then we comment on them. We give some ideas in response to them. And we know that this has been very, very helpful for many people. If you would like to share your story with us, please do so. You can reach me at kenddv@gmail.com, and you can reach Nancy at nsaxtonlopez@csmpc.com. That's nsaxtonlopez@csmpc.com. And you can, as I said, you can share a story of your own. You can tell us that we can share it on this program, or you can tell us that you'd prefer we didn't, or you can tell us that maybe you'd like us to share it, but not all of it. Maybe certain parts you wouldn't like to be shared. We only share first names, actually, in any case. And you can also rest assured that one or both of us will get back to you. It sometimes takes a little bit of time because of the volume of notes that we're getting sometimes, but we want to, one or both of us will get back to you. All the information that I'm sharing as we get started is also in the description that accompanies the program, whether you're seeing it live or on one of the rebroadcast video platforms or podcast platforms. You can support our, I just want to say also, you can send us a topic that you think we should talk about, and you can also send us a guest. You can make a guest recommendation. We've had some really interesting guests on the program, and we're happy to think about anybody who you might send to us in that regard. You can support our work in a number of ways through Venmo, PayPal, monthly subscription. All of the above are in the description. This program is a friend of Dakin Humane Society, which is located in Springfield, Mass. They do a whole bunch of wonderful things for people and animals. They are a shelter service, but a lot of they go beyond that. And one of the programs that they offer is a cost-free Zoom pet loss support group that I facilitate. It is usually on the second Tuesday of the month. Again, it is cost-free. It runs 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. And there's an RSVP link, or a link to the RSVP link, in the description. And the next meeting is going to be on September 12th. And I can tell you that people join us from all over the world, all over the country and all over the world. And they bring some very interesting perspectives. And there's a lot of shared learning that happens in those meetings. Please consider pressing the subscribe button on YouTube if you find this program valuable, because if you find it valuable, hopefully that will mean that other people find it valuable too. And we've learned that people find the program often because they're looking for support, and it shows up on their YouTube search. And every time we get a new subscriber, it raises the program's visibility. It puts it on a different place in the algorithm. So please consider doing that. And we have a very special announcement for this week. We have created an affiliate relationship with a company called Bereave. It's the first of such relationships that we have created. And I want to tell you right off the bat that we would only have such a relationship with a company that we knew did really good work, that was valuable, that would be helpful to people who are grieving. We have seen the plaques that they create. They create beautiful, beautifully crafted granite plaques. And you can see on the screen an example. And they're really something. You can put them on a stand in your home that comes with the plaque, or you can stick it in the ground as a memorial, as you see displayed here. And if you go to Bereave through the link that accompanies our program, you are also going to be supporting us, because part of the cost of the plaque will come back to us. So we just wanted to make sure that we made this announcement. And again, it's a program, it's a company that we think does really good work, and that's the only kind of company that we would ever create any sort of relationship with. So we trust that they will make a really nice memento for you.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. And now I'm holding one.
You're holding the example.
It is heavy. It's beautifully done. It's hard to see with lights, but you saw the picture of it. When I got the package, I called Ken. I said, "Oh my goodness, this is beautiful. It's heavy. It's really, really a wonderful gift, or our memorial, for our beautiful companion animals."
And we wanted to make sure that we got an example. We were talking to their leadership. We wanted to make sure that we had an example that we could handle it, we could see it, because we didn't want to represent it in any way without absolutely knowing that it was something that we would find
we would get ourselves
value. Yeah, that we would get for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So Nancy, want to get us started?
Yes. Now we have 2 stories tonight. The theme is sudden loss, but how the loss happens is different. The first that Ken is going to share is Amy and Coach. And then the story I'm going to be talking through is about Marcia and Hunter.
Right. So Amy wrote a note that we thought was really going to be useful for a lot of people. And the title for this episode now is drawn from it. And it's really one of the last things she writes is, how do we support each other when we're all struggling? And so this is typical of many families where there's a much loved animal companion, and there's a mom and a dad, and there's kids in the family, and everybody is deeply affected. And in fact, the people in the family are responding in ways that differ from one another, as you'll hear. Right. So here's her note. Hi, Nancy and Ken. Thanks for doing this podcast. I'm a new listener and have immediately come to know that I'm not alone in my grief. Other people have the same exact questions I do and torture themselves with the same thought loops. It's an interesting phrase, thought loops. I think that really is very descriptive of what many people experience.
That's right.
We lost our German short-haired pointer Coach on June 12th. He was 13 years old, and we made the decision to put him down before we faced an emergency. He was having daily accidents on his bed, trouble getting up, trouble standing. It was time, our vet agreed, but still I'm wrestling with the questions. Was it too soon? Was I disloyal to my loyal companion? I'm haunted by the image of my husband and children walking him to the vet for the last time. He loved the vet and had no idea what was coming. It's just so hard. My 18-year-old son seems to be coping the best, but also isn't big on sharing his feelings. When we talk about Coach, he finds a reason to leave or escapes to sit in the car. My 13-year-old daughter has isolated herself to the couch and often stays in her PJs most of the days. She seems to have perked up since we took a shopping trip a few days ago, and she confided in me that she's been tired and unmotivated since Coach died. About 2 weeks ago, I began crying daily. I can still go on with my life and do feel happy much of the time, but the tears are big and overwhelming. Mm-hmm. I'm not able to get support from my family since they're sad too. That's actually how I found this podcast. My husband is having the hardest time. Coach was his bird hunting dog, and he was a legendary hunter. He was big and beautiful and scored perfect marks on his natural ability hunting test. My husband's best days in the field and his life were with Coach. They were the best pair. I was so proud that my husband and my dog were so awesome and both so handsome. I have noticed my husband becoming tired all the time, even after a vacation. He's also irritated by almost everyone around him with a short fuse. He's quicker to criticize than to compliment the family. We work together, and his spirits are down at work too. This is all out of character for him. My husband and I are best friends, but times are tough and I feel alone. I'm sure he does too. How do I support him when I'm also so sad? How do I deal with his short fuse when I'm also worried about how my kids are feeling? We have not faced a loss like this one as a family. This is the first time that we're experiencing life challenges when we're all broken down. Usually someone is strong. I can't even begin to imagine how it might be when we lose a human family member. Also, it's been an extremely rainy month, and I think that makes things worse. How do we do this as a family? We do have a 4-year-old bird dog and a new, so cute bird dog puppy. But the sadness of losing Coach is everywhere for all of us. I loved him so much. We all loved him so much. How do we support each other when we're all struggling? Thanks, Amy.
And what a question, all those questions, right? Like you
Yeah.
said, Ken,
Yeah.
this is what families, or even husbands and wives or partners struggle with when all are grieving, but grieving in their own way.
Yeah. Now, the first comment that I want to make, and it just kind of jumps out at me, is when we're grieving, we often do get angry. We're angry at what happened. We're irritable. It's really important to try not to direct that toward the people around us, toward the people who we love, and certainly not toward the people who are going through the loss with us. And so that's the first comment I want to make is that it's just really important to try to realize that the anger that you have is about the circumstance.
Right.
Try to either go outside and take a big walk and a deep breath if you're feeling angry, or do some writing, or discharge it in some way, do something physical, go for a run, go exercise or whatever, but really try to catch yourself from directing it at other people, because it's going to move people away from you at a time when
Everyone wants to be together.
we need to come together. Yeah. Yeah.
Then maybe there's I'm thinking about this as you're talking, that maybe it's been another month, maybe now,
Yep.
to get together as a family and talk about Coach and good memories, and just sit all together and maybe have some kind of candle or something, some kind of memento of his, and all sit together and kind of spend a little time talking about what a wonderful dog he was, and everyone has their own really personal and wonderful memories of him.
Yeah. So you're talking about making some kind of ritual.
Yep.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Some kind of memorial ritual. Sometimes people would read letters to him, or just memories, read memories about him. And it's the 18-year-old son, it sounds like he doesn't talk all that much. So maybe, writing it down and then reading it might be helpful. But I agree. I think some kind of ritual might be good. I also think that what they're doing is okay.
Yeah,
It's like
they're all being themselves.
People grieve in their own ways, and it's not like people in this family are completely avoiding the loss. Amy's bringing it up sometimes. It seems like she's talking with her daughter about it. She's talking with her son about it. She's talking with her husband about it. There's some discussion of the fact that the loss has happened, and people do have their own ways of moving through time after a loss.
And as long as everyone's kind of supporting everyone else in their way, like you said, just not being. I mean, anger is a normal response, in grief, but to kind of move that in a different direction, then at some point maybe the son will be able to, even if you're in a ritual, right, and he doesn't want to talk, if dad's talking and your daughter's talking and mom's talking, then maybe he's going to take that in, right?
And to be there.
Right. And so maybe he'll talk, maybe he won't, but it's going to resonate with him.
Yeah, the recommendation for a ritual may or may not fit this. Some people might instead go for a walk together, or
go
out to a diner and have a dinner and just have some chatter about him. But the rituals capture and contain emotions in a way that goes beyond words. Mm-hmm. And that's really important to keep in mind. That's why we have rituals, right? That's why we have funerals. That's why we have all kinds of memorial services. So they might do something like that. But on the whole, too, I just keep thinking, they're not doing bad. It's hard. It's just hard.
It's hard. And all of them are different personalities. So they're all going to grieve, as we said, differently. And that's okay.
Yep.
Right. So you want to thank Amy.
Yes, thank you so much. And this is a very common thing, like and Amy feeling like I got to do something to try to help everybody else. I think she is doing.
Yeah, I agree.
Really all you can do is to just
be there,
present, to acknowledge, to check in with people, to let them know that you're thinking about them, and then take care of yourself at the same time. Like that's all you can do. And they'll move through this in a way that in a while they'll all be holding on to it in a way that feels comfortable to them, but it may be a different way for each person.
And that's okay.
Yep.
So Marcia and I have been communicating over time. This is a very, very difficult story. She had written us at the end of July, and she said, "Good morning. My name is Marcia. I am 31 years old. I started hearing your podcast today because just last night, during my daily night walk with my beagle named Hunter, he was attacked and killed by a pit bull that jumped the fence of his home. We had just stepped out of the house. We were walking when all of a sudden a pit bull charges towards us and starts attacking Hunter. He would not let go of him, and it took 4 people to get the pit bull off my dog. My dog was still alive, but badly wounded, so we rushed him to the nearest hospital. The vet gave me the devastating news that he needs an emergency costly surgery with a low rate of survival. The pit bull damaged Hunter's spine and punctured his organs. I had to make the hardest decision of my life to euthanize him. I feel so guilty, and the scene of how everything happened keeps replaying in my head. I witnessed my best friend of 12 years get killed. I keep questioning myself, what if I went the other way? Or what if I'd stayed in or left the house earlier? I can't imagine life without my best friend. I feel so lost and don't want to live. I'm going through a heartbreak and healing from shingles, and he was my companion, and now I lost him too. Please help me. I feel so lost, guilty, and like I will never recover from this traumatic experience. Please share this and help. Advice is appreciated." So Ken and I obviously both wrote back to Marcia really quickly because of this trauma that she was going through, to try to be supportive. We were in communication, and this is the second email. "Thank you for your kind words. It has been extremely difficult these past 2 days," and this was a few days later. "That night keeps replaying in my head as much as I try to keep myself busy and surrounded by my loved ones. I have been thinking about how everything happened. Yesterday I was so focused about the attack occurring, and today after speaking about it with my loved ones, I realized something else. Hunter died, a hero. As we passed by my neighbor's house with the pit bulls, my other dog, named Lucas, started barking at them. I believe his barking triggered one of the pit bulls to jump the fence and charge towards us. I remembered that the pit bull was going towards Lucas to attack him, and Hunter got in the way, causing the pit bull to attack him instead. Lucas is my sister's dog, and he is about 9 years old. Hunter met Lucas when Lucas was just a puppy. They have lived together all these years and share a special bond. Going back to that night, I think Hunter knew that Lucas was going to get attacked and got in the way to protect him. Not only did Hunter save Lucas's life, but mine also. If the pit bull would have attacked me, I would have lost an arm or leg. If the pit bull would have attacked Lucas, my sister would not have been present during his final moments because she was on a flight to Ecuador at that moment. When I thought of this, I felt so proud of what Hunter had done, However, hours later, the dark thoughts came back to mind. Right now, I feel hatred toward the pit bull that killed Hunter because he is still alive and my dog isn't. I'm a huge animal lover, and I've always tried to defend pit bulls when people would talk negatively about them. Now it is hard to not think like those people. I'm afraid to walk my other dogs, fearing that the same pit bull or any loose pit bull in the street will attack us. Every time I go outside and look at my neighbor's house, I get angry and walk the other way to avoid them and the spot that Hunter was attacked. My neighbor told my family that he would like to speak to me when I'm ready, but I don't know if I'm capable of doing that, knowing that the pit bull is there. I did tell myself yesterday that I would like to see the pit bull one day and just look into his eyes and understand that it isn't his fault. But today, I feel like the pit bull should be put down because he is dangerous and can harm again if no one takes action. I don't know what to do. I don't want to be responsible for a dog being put down. Someone once told me that in order to be at peace and move on, you must forgive all that caused harm in your life. I don't know. What do you think? I mentioned to Ken that I would love for my story to be shared. Maybe it can help someone who is going through a familiar or same experience. I know I added more to my story, which can be shared as well. Thank you so much. So we both, I got back to her, Ken got back to her, and there's one more.
Oh, there is. Okay.
Yeah, there's one more that came in today, actually, and I got back to Marcia to say we were going to talk about her and Hunter tonight. Thank you so much for your words. It has really been tough to enjoy the rest of my summer off without my best friend. I put his toys, clothing, and bowls away in a special basket to keep forever. I kept one of my favorite sweaters that he would wear in the wintertime and put it on my nightstand along with a picture of him. Every night I like to look at it before I go to bed. Yesterday I went back to work after having the summer off, and it was really hard. My coworkers kept asking how I'm doing, and it became overwhelming to the point that I just wanted to be alone. Clearly, I can't speak about what happened without crying just yet. I did seek help from a therapist, but I stopped seeing her because I feel she just didn't understand what I was going through, maybe because she doesn't have any pets. I know time heals pain, so I'm trying my best every day to get through the day. I do miss Hunter terribly, and I hope that he can appear in my dreams and show me that he is happy and free wherever he is. I enjoy listening to your podcast every week. It helps me understand what has happened and the roller coaster of emotions that we go through in the healing process. Of course, you can tell my story. I hope my story can help families who are listening and went through a related experience. Thank you so much again for being a part of my support system and helping me get through this traumatic experience. Whoa.
There's so much here. The first point that it just makes me very angry to think that a person has a dog that they probably have some knowledge is dangerous.
Yeah.
And the dog is not adequately contained.
Right.
It's really an outrage.
Yeah. I agree.
And it's whether it's a pit bull. And by the way, I know a lot of pit bulls who are absolutely friendly.
And they're wonderful dogs. So, I go back to the people to the pet parents of these dogs.
Pit bulls have a bad rap. They really both of my dogs, by the way, are part pit bull. You can't see it in them, but in the genetics, they are.
They can be wonderful, sweet, loving.
I actually got training at a wonderful couple who do training and they do boarding, and they have rescued a number of pit bulls, and they're the sweetest dogs you could ever meet. They've been trained to be so appropriate socially that even when my dog was a puppy, it was like tearing at their ears and jumping all over them, they'll look at their leader, whose name are Mark and Sarah, and they'll be asking for them to come and take this puppy off, but they won't.
Please come.
They won't hurt. So it isn't about a particular breed. It sometimes is about particular lines within a breed.
Right.
That those lines were bred for fighting or for protection or something. But there's no excuse for having a dog who is able who is able to jump
Right.
a fence
Right.
and attack and kill another dog. And something has to be done to remedy that, because everything that Marcia says is absolutely on target. This dog is not safe
It's
to have.
dangerous.
And this is the kind of thing also where the members of the family who own this dog are ultimately potentially not safe. Other dogs in their family, it's the dog needs at the very
Community.
least a lot of focused training, if not needing to be destroyed. I mean, I don't know the circumstances beyond what Marcia has described, but something needs to happen to contain this dog, and hopefully it can be trained in a way where it will not do this kind of thing again. But wow, I mean, this is just a horrifying story.
It's very, very traumatic.
Very traumatic.
To watch that happen, it's
So
just
traumatic to lose an animal in this way. And she's absolutely right. She, her dog, Hunter, if Hunter wasn't there, maybe she would have been mauled, or maybe her
or
other
Lucas would have died. Right.
And
I
so,
mean,
but Hunter shouldn't have died. It's a terrible tragedy. And that kind of tragic loss adds a whole layer of pain.
Yeah.
That's different from a dog who's very elderly and at the end of their natural lifespan, and this happens. So, I mean, it's hard not to resonate with a lot of anger. I mean, to me, she's incredibly forgiving and generous, and what a gentle soul she is.
For her to really, when she, 2 days later, when she really kind of thought about it, and she said, wow, my Hunter is a hero because he saved me and he saved Lucas. And I mean, for her to move that in that direction, even though she's in such pain because he's gone, and she witnessed this.
Yeah.
So yes, and of course, what she's going through, my sense is she may be a teacher or something on that order, because she's just gone back to her place of work. But it's so hard to go into your life when you've been alone and grieving, trying to get supports, and then go into your life and then have to. It's hard to explain. Of course, she would be overwhelmed.
So also, she said that she felt that way, sort of in a forgiving sort of way. Then she flipped to being angry. That's what grief is.
Yeah, it's grief.
It goes. It's like this churning. It goes all over the place, and I would imagine that's going to continue for some time, particularly given the nature of the loss. And also, the neighbor wants to visit with her when she's ready. One of the things the neighbor needs to do is make, if that neighbor is going to visit with her, they should be ready to tell her all of the ways that all of the things they have implemented to make sure that this is never going to happen
again.
Not just, I'm sorry.
No, never happen again.
This dog is now always on a leash, even if they're outside, because we've had the fence doubled in height and we know the dog can't get over it anymore. Whatever. There has to be more. There needs to be something that's a remedy.
Exactly. It can't just be, I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's because she's absolutely right. It's going to happen again. And it's absolutely unacceptable. We have our animal companions because they are a loving asset to ourselves and to everybody we know. They shouldn't be a danger ever.
No, none of them.
If our animal is a danger, this has to be fixed. This has to be remedied one way or another. It is absolutely not acceptable.
And also, she did try to seek help from a therapist, and you and I have had those discussions where, and I did get back to her this morning, and I said, if you want some help in finding a grief counselor with an expertise in pet loss, I would try to find someone. And look, they mean well, but if they're not that don't have that experience, it's going to be hard.
I don't understand therapists who don't understand grief. I don't, whatever kind of loss. To me, that therapist needs some serious training, because grief is a part of when people come to see us as a therapist, they come because they're in some kind of pain. And they're going through some kind of change. And part of what they're going through is almost with certainty, there's some element of grief to it. So, and if you're a therapist and you can't empathize with a person's deep connection,
no matter
to
what
an animal who is part of their life, then, get some training. I'm so tired of hearing this. I really am.
Yeah, we have heard it quite a bit on the people that write into us. But Marcia,
good, and it goes to show you there's good, great, and awful in every profession.
Yeah.
Right? Every profession. And it's certainly there. It's there in physicians. It's there in nurses. It's there in lawyers. It's there in politicians. It's there in therapists. I mean, that dynamic is there. And so that's why you have to be choosy. You have to evaluate the therapist you're seeing just the way you would expect any service provider. If they're not doing good work, you're out of there.
Right. And she did.
Yeah.
And so that was good because if you're not understood, that's also another wound, right?
Oh, absolutely. Sometimes it's just not a good match.
Right.
And then you exit and you interview another therapist and decide if they're a good match, or you see them a few times and decide, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But Marcia, thank you so much for sharing this and allowing us to share this.
Yeah,
this is a very
we're so sorry for this tragedy happening, and we also send our condolences to Amy and her family as well. Yes. Thank you both so much for sharing with us.
Thank you so much.
And also, don't forget to subscribe to YouTube. If you think this program is valuable, that will help other people get to it as well.